Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another broadcast here for Fast Break live for IE Sports Radio. You're the week free for all sports, and you're welcome to join us. On tonight's show, we'll discuss the 76ers woes, locker room issues, and Paul George being out. What can his team do to bounce back and finding winning ways? Also, Zion Williamson out again for extended time with the hamstring injury. But D-Locke, he got plenty of time to get a big old tattoo on his back.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, he got all that extra time, like it's going in the wrong places. Wasted energy.
So we'll discuss, if he's focused on basketball or other things. D-Locke, we also talk about 20 years of the Mounds of the Powers Brawl. Anything you want to add tonight? I know you're only Magic one being against the Lakers the other night.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think one thing I do want to discuss is how the Orlando Magic are looking even without Paolo Banchero. I think Franz Wagner is playing at a top-tier level, which is a little surprising, but I'm definitely happy with it.
So we'll break that down. The Magic getting a big win on the road, and the second win on the road. Can they build some momentum on that along this road trip? We'll discuss that and much more news around the world of basketball. But after these commercial breaks, we'll dive into everything. But this is Fast Break here live on IE Sports Radio. You're the right free for all sports. We'll catch you on the other side.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, and we're back. I know I'm not crisp as I was the last couple of weeks, but hey, as long as the show's up and running, we're all good. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight here on Fast Break Live for IE Sports Radio, your direct for all sports. You can catch us on X/Twitter at FastBreakIESR. That's FastBreakIESR. Also, do check out iSportsRadio.com for all your latest shows, news, and feeds and whatnot. College football somewhat winding down.
Yeah.
So we got conference championships and playoff implications still going on. So do check out our 3-and-Out series college edition here for the network on there as well. But D-Locke, where do we go from here? This week been something else.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to talk about this one team, the 76ers. Once again, before we got on the air, you said they were catching the beat down.
Yes.
They called beat down today from the Clippers. I was at work, ladies and gentlemen, so I didn't catch the game. But they called a beat down by the Sixers at home. They lose to 125-99 with James Harden having 23 points, 16 rebounds, 16 points, 12 rebounds for Ivan Zubac, 13 points for Trey Mann off the bench, Kevin Porter Jr., 11 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds for him. On the other side of things, Jared McCain, who's making a real strong push for Rookie of the Year right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of top 5 in the talk right now. Just leave it there. Tyrese Maxey, 17 points for him. And that's really about it for the Sixers. A very small lineup for them, starting off. They didn't start Drummond. They did play him, but he only played like 14 minutes on that front of things. So, D-Locke, I pass it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Paul George out with another hyperextended knee, same knee that he injured during the preseason. Joel Embiid is back in a sense, but it's not all the way there. Maxey is back from injury.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like this team is 3-13. They're at the bottom of the East. And what you didn't really expect that with this group. Well, I take it back. They're not the bottom of the East. The Wizards are ahead of them, but it's the Wizards. We kind of expected them to be there. My question to you, how can this team get out this hole? What can Nick Nurse and company do to get out of this hole and get back to playoff contention?
So this team, right? Let's go look at this schedule, because right now, starting off 3-13 is a huge. First of all, they got to be focused. We need to be talking about straight basketball. Everything else that they got going on needs to be pushed to the side, because right now they have too many different things going on. This is coming from Joel Embiid being a part of a Olympic gold basketball team, USA basketball team. I'm looking at these next 4 to 5 games. You got Houston, Detroit, Charlotte, Orlando twice. Man, this team doesn't look good, man. I mean, to be honest with you, they need to figure out, do they need to start to rebuild? Because right now, and this goes back to the trusting the process and getting Joel Embiid, drafting him. They have not done anything live up to those expectations. Again, we talked about him and Ben Simmons, the Hawks series, and then we talk about them having James Harden there. Now they got Paul George. Now they need a true point. They need a true point guard in Tyrese Maxey. Now they've had different coaches, but there's one person that's been part of this team throughout this whole process, and that's been Joel Embiid. So at this point, starting off 3-13 is insane for a team that we thought would be in the playoffs, making a push for the playoffs. And I mean, looking at some of these wins, man, they beat Charlotte in overtime by 2 points.
Yeah.
They beat the Pacers in overtime by 4 points. And they beat Brooklyn, right? Those teams are not at the top. I think they're the teams that we talk about as struggling, especially Charlotte and Brooklyn. But to have these 2 wins, overtime 2 and 4 point victories, this team is not good. They're not. I mean, they're not good. I think everything except basketball is basically the topic of this team right now. They can't do anything right now. I think the highlight of this team right now is Jared McCain. I think he's the one that's doing a lot of the work. He's doing a lot for them, getting them. That's basically the spotlight of this team so far. So for me,
yes,
I just, we looked at this team: Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Joel Embiid. If we would, now we usually do this year we didn't, but we usually do a rankings, a preview of the NBA season. We rank per conference. I'm pretty sure we both would have had Philly up there as one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference Finals or Eastern Conference, just because of the make of this roster. But
let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. That Karl Anthony Towns trade that happened because I think if we did our series, there being the one of the last 2 divisions we had done.
Right.
Would the Cat trade change your mind on your rankings there, or would you had them ahead New York?
I think the Cat trade would have definitely had me having the Knicks ahead of Philly, but kind of, I just wouldn't see like what we're seeing from New York is expected. You know what I'm saying? Like we see this when they make that trade, but I just didn't see Philly being 3-13. I mean, I didn't see this happening regardless of injury wise that they're dealing with. So for me, I mean, I definitely would have said, okay, you got the Knicks in there with Boston, and Philly would have been a close third or close second. But again, I don't even see that with this team now. Now, granted, the East is the East. It looks bad overall. They're not there's few teams that just look amazing or are top tier, obviously. But outside of that, 3-13 is terrible, man. I mean, and I'm looking at how can they bounce back from this. I got them beating. They should beat Detroit. That Charlotte game, obviously overtime. I think they possibly get that one. Got them unbiased, losing to my Magic back to back. But still, this team may get to 20 losses before they get to 8 wins. Because 3-3, come on, man, 3-13 with the pieces that they have.
Yeah.
Kelly Oubre is there as well. Like, come on, man.
I don't know where this team goes, man. I was like, I don't know. Like, they already put themselves in a hole with Embiid saying, him and George, they ain't doing back-to-backs and stuff like that. So you already put yourself in a hole there. Jared McCain, like you mentioned, great surprise. Has came out, played pretty well. People like to rag on him because the finger painting and all that stuff and the TikTok dancing and all that. If you getting kids, born 2005 and beyond now, that's what you're gonna get for the most part. So I mean, he's hooping though. He's hooping. So he can finger paint and TikTok dance away. As long as you give me buckets, I don't care. Him, Maxey. I'm surprised some of the other role players just haven't really stepped up to kind of show their worth. Oubre's solid, but this guy's been playing kind of like a 1-year deal for the past couple of seasons. And I know he's kind of itching for like that big time contract, but I feel like times it kind of disappears and stuff like that for the most part. Then for the other guys, I'm looking here. KJ Martin. Sometimes you can't expect a little bit more out of him, but I think he's so ends a role player now in the league. Drummond, he's been playing on 1 year, two year deals for the past few seasons. I thought at least he'll show up and try and get that last monster payday before he rides out in the sunset. Reggie Jackson, he was almost at the league a few years ago. I figure he's trying to push for that big contract. Eric Gordon, I think he's on his last stretch. I don't know how much longer he got, D-Locke, to be a solid contributor in the league. And then, you got guys like Ricky Council, as well. Caleb Martin, I kind of expected more out of him to be kind of that fourth scorer or so, but really hasn't materialized like we kind of hope. So I don't know. You see, they got solid pieces, but it just nothing. I don't know. Is just nothing really popping? Is it coaching?
I mean,
I know not having Embiid there for most time, is a brat breaker. But sometimes you gotta probably just look at the coaching and say, is Nick Nurse the right guy for us?
Right.
I mean, he was solid in Toronto, but is he the right guy for this squad right now?
I mean, my thing is, like I said, I'm actually looking at it now. You have had since you've had Doug Collins, you've had Brett Brown 2013 to 2020. Then you went from him to Doc Rivers.
Yep.
Now to Nick Nurse. So coaching does play a huge part. But the one thing is that Embiid plays a huge part in this, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to flat out say it. I think, we've talked about this for years. Like I said, I keep going back to the Paul George is now there. James Harden was there at one moment. Ben Simmons was there. You had all these pieces, and they still are not getting done. Like, hell, who else they need? Michael Jordan in his prime? Like you need Kobe to be there? Like, at this point, you have went so many different ways and got different coaches as well. Now Doc Rivers, we can see what the hell's going on in Milwaukee. So I just think the whole Doc Rivers thing is I think I don't think I don't think he was the right coach either. But in all fairness, Joel Embiid has been there the longest, and they continue to build around him, replace and build other people around him. And we look at a situation like Shaq, right? Shaq in his prime, or when he went to Orlando went to the NBA Finals, right? Then he goes to LA, multiple championships, right? Then he goes to Miami, gets a championship. So I say to say that he's a centerpiece that played a huge role in these championships and how he impacted the team. Now, granted, the pieces that he had around him, Penny Hardaway, Dwayne Wade, Kobe, hella great coaches as well. But you're looking at the Joel Embiid situation or Philly situation, and you're keeping that so-called centerpiece and replacing everything else around him, and nothing. You're getting the same results.
Yeah.
So, coaching, I think, is a big issue. But the real question also is Embiid the issue? Because we're putting multiple pieces around this guy, and it's not working out. Or is it how you're building around him? So, for me, and like I said, I think this all started, man, with him already this season. I already knew this season was going to be in shambles when he came out already talking about he ain't going to do no back-to-backs. Like, already saying that that was going to be a big issue. Then the whole Tyrese Maxey, getting on him in the locker room, gets put out.
And you know what that reminded me of? I don't remember like when Shaq and Kobe really got going.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear the stories coming out, Kobe calling Shaq fat and all that stuff, calling him fat ass, all that. That's what that reminded me of.
Right.
Like, Kobe, like, damn, dude, if you kind of, stop worrying about outside stuff and stay in shape. I'm not saying you can't have outside interests, but I kind of see Kobe's, like, when I was younger, I kind of hated it because y'all fighting, but y'all winning championships. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, why y'all beefing so hard? Y'all winning like this. But now you kind of get older, and well, yeah, if you kind of stay, good shape, kind of like I don't say like, slim down like his Orlando days, but damn, dude, if you stay under 300 pounds, I'm not saying we win multiple championships all the time, but we're always there. So, to your point, man, it's like even with your Orlando Magic back in the day, but look at the role players they had around them though too. 3D, Nick Anderson, Scott Skiles,
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, add a Horace Grant. And then, Shaq goes to the Lakers. Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel to start off. And then down the road, Kobe come to the zone. Then you added guys like Glenn Rice, Rick Fox come to the fold, Robert Ory, Derek Fisher come to his own. Of course, you had, Phil Jackson. But Sixers, they seem like they tried some of those type of things, but it just never really materialized.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, and there'll be the topic throughout the season. I mean, hopefully we'll see them later on in the season turn it around. But if not, we're still gonna have something to talk about with this team. Like, hey, you guys had this high expectations bringing in Paul George, and I believe Paul George decided to go to Philly between Philly and LA. He made a decision, and to be honest, I mean, the Clippers are 11-7, so they got a better record. You know what I'm saying? Than the Sixers. So for me, this team has a lot that they have to, get going with so many pieces around them. But I mean, I think at some point we're going to have to accept that Embiid probably needs to be moved.
One more thing before we go through the week's action, because I do want to touch on the Celtics Cavs matchup. Do you think he's doing this on purpose, Joel Embiid, to get moved?
I don't want to believe that he is, because he says he did so much to get Paul George there. So to me, I don't want to believe that. But we also remember him wanting James Harden there at one point. So, and then that ended up didn't working out, and so it's he's very hard to read sometimes, man. But I don't want to believe that he is doing this to get moved, because where is he trying to go? You know what I mean? Like, where is he literally? Where is he trying to land? So I wouldn't want to believe it, but I would be shocked if a month down the road we hear that he wants to be traded.
I know we had this discussion about 2 weeks ago. Where can he be traded to? I think the only teams that probably were trying to reach out are like the Warriors, because I think it's been reported that they've been trying to get somebody out of there. The Heat, it always seems like they're lurking for somebody. I think Boston's stacked. I'm not saying they can move off Porzingis for Embiid, but why are you trading one injured big for another? The Cavs, I don't think they would touch their roster at all. I don't say not at all, but I don't know. It's kind of risky bringing Embiid like that. I think that's kind of risky,
right?
Because they got a great thing going on right now, in my humble opinion. The Pacers is an interesting one. If they want to get over the hump and looking at the standings and not be in the middle and kind of get out the hump. So I don't know. We'll see. I thought about this. What about your Orlando Magic? How about you package up Wendell Carter, Jonathan Isaac?
Please.
Maybe had to give up a couple first round picks. Maybe throw in. Who can you throw in? I think maybe one of the young kids, maybe Jack Howard.
Yeah. I mean,
I know that may not be enticing enough. You may have to throw in another young guy. But that right there, I mean, Embiid, Paolo, Franz, Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black, Cole Anthony, KCP.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not. Again, I think I'm not mad at that idea. I think that'd probably be it'd be interesting. I just don't want Embiid to come in and be like I feel like he has a big play in what's going on in Philly now. But can he? Maybe it's a new change of scenery. Maybe it's that gets him to move a little bit different. Maybe he goes to Orlando, possibly, and he's there with Wagner and Banchero and see what they're doing. But I don't know. I think it's not a bad move because that's what we are lacking is a center position. But Goga is playing fine, but I mean, obviously Embiid is a totally different level. I mean, totally different athletic player there. But I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what teams do get intrigued because this doesn't look good at all. I mean, I think starting out 3-13 with the pieces that they have, somebody possibly has to be moved. Or again, like I said, do you rebuild? Because you got Embiid numerous pieces, and it hasn't worked. No matter how we put it together, something has happened. Whether somebody's been out for the season, somebody get hurt, or they got a different coach. Okay, they can't put the chemistry together to get these wins. Embiid has been there, and something has happened. So do you just go ahead and start that rebuild? Okay, boom, we're going to rebuild around Maxey and Jared McCain. And now let's get some other pieces around there. Like you said, possibly looking at a team like Orlando Magic, who are looking a hell of a lot better than they've looked recently in the recent years. Could they make that move? Because that could be that piece that can boost them into that top 3 in the East, top 4. Especially seeing what the Knicks did. I think that making a move like that would be very interesting for the Magic. But Philly's going to have to make up their mind what they're going to do throughout this season because I think they're starting to go down a road that's going to be hard to come back from. Like this season, it's getting kind of rough.
So let's put a pause on that. On the other side of the break, we'll discuss the big matchup that happened in the NBA Cup. Celtics, Cavs. Is it a good thing that the Cavs lost a very good team like the Celtics, and what can they learn from it? Plus, we'll discuss, the matchup between our two favorite teams, the Orlando Magic, LA Lakers. Magic get a big time win on the road, which is kind of desperately needed for their I won't say, I guess for momentum moving forward on the road trip. And Zion out once again. Well, I mean, he's already been out, but it's going to be extended period of time. We'll discuss him as well. But this is Fast Break Live for iSports Radio, your direct feed for our sports, and we'll catch you on the other side.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph DeLeese, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold. Have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph DeLeese, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter at any time. Be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back here for Fast Break Live for IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all is sports. And D-Locke, let's go back and talk about the week's action for the NBA real quick. The big one for us was the Celtics versus the Cavaliers in the NBA Cup play.
Right.
Celtics win on the road. Celtics win at home, 120 to 117 against the Cavs. Great game, top to bottom. Donovan Mitchell, who rested the last game, was going to be fresh as he can be.
Mm-hmm.
In this game against the Cavs. He had 35 points. In that showing. Really, Kenny Atkinson, the coach, really shortened the bench on this one. It kind of felt like playoff atmosphere, 22 points for Mobley, 10 and 11 for Jared Allen. The bench for the Cavs played pretty strong too.
Yeah.
Porter, 15 points. Ty Jerome, who's been playing pretty well for them this year, 10 points for him. Jordy Niang, 11 points for him. But all that wasn't really enough. Darius Garland did not show up at all. 31 minutes, 3 for 21 for the field.
0 for 6.
They ain't gonna get it done.
Nah.
And him having that showing there, 8.7 assists, no fouls, meaning sometimes I feel like I see no fouls there. That means to me that you're not defending that well.
Right.
You're not even getting called for ticky-tack fouls and stuff like that. When I see a goose egg in the foul department, especially as a guard in today's NBA, it shows to me that you're not really training hard defensively. And you look on the other side of things. Derek White had 19 points. Jason Tatum had 33 and 12 and 7. Jaylen Brown, 17 points. And then same thing, Boston shortened their bench up in this matchup too. 13 points for Peyton Pritchard. Hauser, 2 points. But D-Locke, the Cavs suffered their first loss to the Celtics. Granted, the Cavs bounced back after that game, beat down the lowly Pelicans, who we'll talk about more in a second. After that, and then they don't play again until the 27th. That's on Wednesday. But your thoughts on this big time matchup? How do you evaluate the Cavs' first loss of the season?
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but 7 days ago, I actually thought that they were gonna go through this. I thought the Cavs were gonna win this game. I haven't gone undefeated for some time, for a while, but what I really liked that was impressive about the Cavs was, if I remember correctly, the Celtics got out to like a huge lead. They
Mm-hmm.
got to a very huge lead. Like I think it ended up being like 20-8 or 18-3 or something like that. And the Cavs fought back. And that was something that was very impressive to me for it to come down to a 3-point game. Now the biggest thing is both of these teams understand that this is a playoff atmosphere type game because they're going to run into each other again and possibly in the playoffs, exact like how they're playing. We may see them in the Eastern Conference Championship or in a divisional. But to see Craig Porter have a hell of a game, I think that played a huge part with them as well. Darius Garland, to your point of having no personal fouls at all, like you said, it gives you the vibe of he wasn't defending well enough. For you to have not one foul, like you said, no ticky-tack fouls or anything like that. So that wasn't a good game for him. Like you said, 3 for 21, 0 for 6. Now, even though Donovan Mitchell had 35 points, he was 3 from 11. I can't even get it out. He was 3 for 11 at the 3-point line. So what this tells me is the Celtics played hell of a good defensive game. A lot of these shots that they taken, the Celtics played good defensively. Al Horford put out one of his games out of his back pocket, had 20 points and 7 boards. Right. Now, granted, the big Porzingis did not play. So I think that plays a part moving forward when they do match up again, possibly in the playoffs and moving forward in the season. But I think the Cavs played extremely well. I think outside of Garland's play, your bench came and showed up, which is what you need because in the playoffs, that's what you're gonna see. Now, obviously, we're only about 15 to 16 games in. We got a while to go, but looking at this matchup, they both teams understood how important this matchup was. So that was a big thing for me, and I think that Evan Mobley played pretty well. Jared Allen shockingly only had 10 points for me. I thought he was going to have more than that. The game played pretty decent, but for Craig Porter to come out and play how he did, I think that was very impressive. But the Celtics, the biggest thing is they played very good on defense when they needed to. But for it to come down to a 3-point game, we now see, that these Cleveland Cavaliers are pretty damn good.
Yeah.
For them to stick around with the Boston Celtics, reigning NBA champ Boston Celtics, I think the Cavs are going to be a team to watch out for. Now, that does make the East pretty interesting now. Like we talked about before, Philly is 3-13 at the bottom, but the East is not too packed. But you do have the Boston Celtics, the Cleveland Cavaliers, now the New York Knicks, the Orlando Magic. I think these are your three or four teams that when they do match up, this is going to be a 7-game series that we're all going to want to tune in and watch. So I think that I was, even though with the loss, still impressed by how Cleveland played. I think that court was all green too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, all green.
Yeah. So, and obviously we know how tough it is to play in Boston. But I definitely like what I've seen from Cleveland. I think if Garland plays have defense a little bit better, a little bit more aggressive, maybe this game could have had a different turnout. But also on Boston's side, I think if they have Porzingis, this game may not have been as close because we know what Porzingis can bring to the table. But all in all, we know what Boston is. But I definitely like what I've seen from Cleveland, and I think they definitely are a team to watch out for.
Whose depth do you like more, the Cavs or the Celtics?
You know what? That's a very tough question. Now, does this include Porzingis?
We throw him in there. Like, if you stack this team out, like both teams side to side, healthy, they're healthy. No injuries, all that good stuff. Bench, all that. Who do you have?
You know what? Damn, that's tough. You know what? I'm going to lean towards Boston. And the reason why is because I believe the big difference with them is they got Al Horford and Porzingis. Then you have Peyton Pritchard, who we know he can go out there and have one of them games. I think outside of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, what big does Cleveland have? In their rotation part. Now, obviously, we know, okay, boom, they'll go out there with a rotation of Evan Mobley on the bench, got Jared Allen at the 5, probably have Niang at the 4. Cool. But I think outside of those two, where do they have that little bit of rotation to where I think that is where Boston could dominate? So for me, when Porzingis come back, who starts? Do you start Porzingis and Al Horford? Matchup wise against Cleveland.
I don't know. That's tough.
Yep.
I think they probably move. I don't know. That's a good question.
And let's say that this is a matchup we're looking at. We're at the Eastern Conference Finals. The Cavs fully healthy against Boston fully healthy. You know who the Cavs are going to start. They're starting Mobley, Jared Allen, Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and possibly I would say maybe Isaac Okoro. That's what I'm thinking. But if that's the case, do you start Porzingis and Al Horford? Because now somebody between Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, and Derek White, somebody has to come off the bench. If you start both of them.
I don't know, but do you keep Holiday and Derek White there for your point of attack on defense? Because Porzingis, you can probably bring off the bench.
Yeah.
Unless they feel. I mean, Al Horford don't mind going to the bench, whatever. But I'm just thinking, things kind of I don't say feel smoother with Horford being out there, but it's like more continuity and stuff like that. And you're not worried about Porzingis. I mean, with Horford, you're not worried about him getting hurt compared to Porzingis. And you can say the same thing on the side thing for the Cavs. Jared Allen, Mobley have missed time as well. But, I kind of like they depth a little bit better because you got LeVert off the bench, who's showing good buckets. Dean Wade, can play that 3 spot, 4 spot in a spot at the 5. You don't want him to. And then some of the guys like Sam Merrill, Ty Jerome, Porter, they kind of been making their names this year.
Mm-hmm.
Guys that you're going to see stick around, not just for the Cavs, but around the league for a little while. They played, and guys that can be dependable. 9, 10, 11, 12 down deep in the bench. So for me, on the Celtics side days, you got Pritchard, a Hauser, but behind Porzingis and Horford, Luke Cornett really ain't shown much. Mm-hmm. I mean, he hasn't taken the brass. He isn't. To me, for Luke Cornett, it's like he hasn't grabbed. I don't say the brass ring, D-Locke, but it's like, dude, Al Horford's 37, 38. Porzingis hurt a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Some reason now you're not seizing the opportunity to be the big man of the future of this team. Like, I'm not. That's not saying superstar or anything like that, but if you could be like a Valanciunas or Ivan Zubac type of production, that can go a long way for your career, man. And Luke Cornett really hasn't stepped up to the plate like that. Like I think what Brad Stevens and them envisioned And what I somewhat kind of envision, like, man, dude, you're gonna mess around, they're gonna grab somebody ahead of you and draft somebody for you to kind of do that role, and you be left in the dust. So I like the Cavs depth right now, D-Lock. It's hopefully, if you're Boston, can you make a move to put yourself at the top? Because you kind of look at things and yeah, you're fine, cool. But what happens when Embiid gets healthy and get rolling? What happens when the Magic get Paolo back and get rolling? What about the Bucks? If they found their stride, the Heat are kind of there. You gotta find ways to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my biggest thing, like I said, is now I do pose this question: do either of these teams make a move by the trade deadline?
That's a good question. I don't think either do. But if I had to pick on the Cavs or Celtics making a move before the deadline, I'll say the Celtics do. Just to kind of tighten up that back end of the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Find a decent big man, whoever that may be. Waivers, I don't know who would be waived around that time, but that would be a good option for them. Big man wise, I don't know who would be on the block right now. I mean, I know there's Robert Williams, their former center, who they traded to give up to get through Drew Holiday. But he's had an injury bug the past couple of years as well. So maybe him. I'm trying to think who else around. I'm thinking, looking around the league. You got the big man out of Charlotte,
Mm-hmm.
who's kind of been on. Both of those guys been on the trade block there. That's really about it I can think of. If I'm being honest. Valchunas is on a team trade deal. You got the Raptors. They got like a lot of big men that
Sure.
they could probably sacrifice to give up. The Wizards. You could probably poke around there and see who you can grab for there for depth. But we'll see. On that side of things, on that front. But D-Lock, I want to talk about this matchup. Celtics, Lakers, November 21st. Your Orlando Magic came away with the victory. I seen comments like this. About Gabe Vincent. Mr. Allen Hurley. You're on the money on this one, man. We'll talk about more depth about the Lakers in a second, man. But D-Lock, your thoughts on the game? To me, real quick, Franz Wagner has been balling his ass off, keeping this team afloat.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And that matchup on the 21st really showed that. I give all credit to him. The ISO ball, still chipping at the ice at the lead. I thought the Lakers probably had it, I don't say in the bag, but, free throws down the stretch. And Rodney hitting that three-pointer. And that's all she wrote. Your thoughts on the game? And what can the Magic do to continue building this momentum, especially on the road when they desperately need it?
I mean, I think finally, I talked about it earlier in the season about Banchero, and when Banchero is out, Wagner is nowhere to be found. That was last year. But this is a totally different year. He's playing out of his mind, 13 for 26, 37 points. So I think now he is showing what he can do. Jalen Suggs as well. Jalen Suggs is playing out of his mind. I like what this team is doing, and I think this game showed it. I mean, you have a very good game, tight game. Obviously playing the Lakers, who started out hot, sitting at 10-5. Another person that, like I said, is playing extremely well too is Goga. I mean, come on, man, this guy got 15 rebounds, with Anthony Davis down there. So for me, I think that this team to continue this momentum is to continue lean on the guy that they have in Franz Wagner. He's been doing that consistently, and the momentum kept going. I believe they had the Wizards? I believe they played. It was it was the Pistons. I'm sorry, it was the Pistons. They played them, got the win. Cade Cunningham did not play, but you come back, after that trip, and Wagner comes back 11, 22, 30 points, right? Not as good as a game from Jalen Suggs, but now they go a little bit deeper into the bench. Got a lot of guys coming in. KCP has done, doing pretty well. So I like what this team is doing. Now that they can consistently play like this, Banchero is going to come back. They need to look into trade Jonathan Isaac. And I said this before. At this point, man, like I said, I think he's healthy, but okay, 23 minutes, 12 rebounds, 5 points. That's against the Pistons. Game against the Lakers, 18 minutes, 6 rebounds, and 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mo Wagner has got more minutes now and has moved into that role. And I think when Banchero comes back, that's what they need to continue to lean on a little bit more than Jonathan Isaac. So I think that, Jonathan Isaac is going to be one of those pieces that we possibly may see be moved. But other than that, man, I like, what they're doing. On the other end, the Lakers, LeBron, 31 points, 10 boards. Dalton Knecht is a hell of a pickup, hell of a draft pick. He's been showing his ass and playing very well. 17 points, 3 for 7, 3-point line. My question also is, what do they do with Gabe Vincent? With this rotation of these guards. Gabe Vincent, now D'Angelo Russell's on the bench, or coming off the bench. Max Christie. What are they going to do in that rotation with these guards? Austin Reeves didn't play that well, 3 for 12, 9 points. But again, a tight game between, I think, two teams that are playoff worthy. I think these two teams will make the playoffs. How far they get, that's the question that remains to be answered. But other than that, I think that was a hell of a game, especially for it to come down to a buzzer beater. I think that both teams are having a hell of a season. They're going to continue going. But I'm super hyped for my Orlando Magic, man. I think, seeing them play like this, even when Banchero is out, is exciting. And because when Banchero went down, I kind of figured I was a little nervous, like, damn, like, okay, how's this going to end? He's going to be out for a while. Can Franz Wagner come in and take that role and embrace it? And he has so far. Like I said, I definitely would put him in that category. He's been doing his thing. So I definitely think that he's going to be the piece moving forward. And definitely like seeing what the Magic are doing.
I mean, for me as a Laker fan, and it sucks that, them that's down the stretch, they're missing free throw shots like that. They're putting Anthony Davis in line. He'll miss one, make the second one. And the way Wagner was shooting the ball, man, is like, I don't know, man. Something could happen. Mm-hmm. Nobody else for Orlando was like, I mean, shooting the ball when it sucks was all right. And, and older brother was okay. But Wagner was one of the only ones keeping that team afloat. And, Anthony Davis had a big day, 39 points on that night, 31 points for LeBron, almost a triple-double. But Connect really showing his worth. And I said on our show's page at Twitter / on Twitter at Fastbreaker ISR. Which I put it right here. I said, Rob Lincoln's lucky that Dalton Connect fell to him.
Yeah.
And going back to the other night, Connect had 37 points. Like Rob Lincoln is very fortunate that young man fell down to him at that pick. And now you kind of wonder, if you're Lakers, and going back to Adam's comment, I think you got something to Connect. You move Russell to the bench, and that could be hot and cold depending on how he is. After that, man, Cam Reddish is there for defense, stuff like that. Very, knowing his role right there in that front. But after that, man, Max Christie, at times he plays okay, but it seems like he's just out there at cardio. But at least for him, he gives you something. Gabe Vincent, it's like dude's just out there.
Mm-hmm.
And if Adam's still listening, like he hasn't showed enough to kind of like he might take the bait on him. I know the Lakers need a big, and they've been talked about, getting a big and stuff like that. But can you sell somebody, and for another 3 years for Gabe Vincent to kind of take his contract? D'Lo is on an expiring deal. D'Angelo Russell is on an expiring deal. We all know that. But the big you're trying to get, is a team that look at this deal like, are you going to take this guy? So for the Lakers, the starting five for the most part, I know Rui didn't play in that game. But, Anthony Davis, LeBron, Austin Reeves, Connect, Rui Hachimura, are kind of like your solid pieces right now.
Yeah.
Everybody else, they could be extendable and moved. I mean, Christie, Gabe Vincent, Cam Reddish, D'Angelo Russell. Those guys can move. Jackson Hayes. And then Jared Vanderbilt. It seems like every time he thinks he'll be back, he's out for another 2 weeks. Christian Wood, same boat.
Right.
So JJ Redick has made it different with the squad. They're in the top 5 in the Western Conference standings as we talk here today. But, like our Arizona show brought up in the point, earlier, the Suns are 1-6. He brought up in the chat, excuse me, wrong post. He brought in the chat like Suns are 1-6 since KD been out. Now, granted, you got Devin Booker and Bradley Beal there, but we talked about this last year. When one of these guys go out, it ain't good. And if you're the Lakers, Chet Holmgren's out. Zion, big ass, is out. He's going to be out for an extended period of time with a hamstring injury. D-Lock I saw yesterday, this man was at his house, whatever, getting tatted up to buy some on his big back of the anime character. I don't have the information. I don't have the character in front of me, but it looked like an anime character from what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And they're at the bottom of the West. Victor Wembanyama is out right now.
Right.
I look around the league. It's like Warriors. They're at the top of the West, but it's like, can they maintain it? The Rockets, they're kind of coming along, but I don't think the young guys are ready to step up to the plate just yet with that crew. They're getting there. They got the coach, they got the structure, but hopefully they can just keep level-headed with that group. You gotta keep them level-headed. Denver, Jokic missed some time due to the baby, and congratulations to him.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of slowly back in the rankings. Memphis lost today. I mean, not Memphis. Minnesota lost today, and they're 8-8, sitting 8-8. Dallas lost today in overtime against the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler sent that game to overtime, and they win that game against the Mavs. So, I speaking as a Laker fan, D-Lock, I'm looking if we can tweak this roster just a tad bit. I think you can go places. Now, it all depends on Rob Pelinka. I've said my piece about Rob Pelinka. Just because, he wins you championship don't mean he should be comfortable. And I think his seat should be warm. His drafting has been bad. He could have had Cam Whitmore in the fold instead of Jalen Lucifino. If you kind of put Cam with this squad right now, and put him in Max Christie minutes, you talking about like a whole different team right there. And you talking about a kid that's like projected top 5 pick.
Right.
I know, and some of y'all probably listen to this like if and buts and all that stuff, but you kind of look at it now. Look what we're talking about. And then you use those other resources to kind of find different type of players. So, and with Zion being out, when he's healthy, this Pelicans team is pretty damn scary. But Herb Jones out, Deontay Murray out, Jose Alvarado out.
Mm-hmm.
D-Lock, kind of like with Zion in a sense. We're talking about not Joel Embiid in a sense. Does this dude like basketball? Because I know you as a performer, professional athlete, and you be in the college scene and stuff like that. We've seen guys that get by. I mean, folks tell them you can get by and stuff like that, athletic ability alone. But you got that want to. Do you think Zion has that want to be that dude? Or you think he got his money too early and now he's kind of just chilling?
Well, I think that the expectations were super high, as they should be. I mean, we've seen what he was at Duke and what he could have done, what we expect of him. But I think that it's to the level of I don't know if he wants that. And is it expected of him being at a team like New Orleans Pelicans? Do we see this same situation with him being in LA with the Lakers? Do we see him seeing the same in a New York Knicks uniform, the Boston uniform, places that expect to win? And I think that is that is something that is very known for a lot of franchises. We talk about, in multiple sports, we know those teams that have the championship expectations, and the Pelicans aren't that team that has that. So, we're talking about Embiid getting moved. Well, hell, do we see Zion eventually getting moved? We talked about it before. So for me, I think that the expectation just isn't there for him to consistently be that player. And
Yep.
he is young, and we're seeing that. That's the same thing we talked about with Anthony Davis in New Orleans, right? Anthony Davis was just being one of the better players in the league, definitely dedicated. Get traded to LA, and now the expectations are we are winners, right? This is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, how he moved in New Orleans is totally different than how you move in LA. Okay, you go get you a double-double and you have a hell of a game with 20 boards or whatever and 40 points. But that shit don't really mean too much in LA if you continue to have losses. So for me, I think I'm not going to say that he doesn't want to be that player. I just don't think it's expected on both ends, and it's not him being held accountable to being that player every single day. I don't see that because obviously we're talking about a team that has not won anything.
And then, with Zion, the agent change and stuff like that. I think he was represented by CAA. They were dropping him, I guess, due to contract issues and stuff like that. So you got that going on with him. I was just thinking, like, where did this team go from here? And we talked about this a couple years ago. This team could have just like that, because they know the issues he's got going on with him. But I just thinking, like, y'all gave him max money, for future reasons, and he's not really giving y'all back in return at all. And now you're at the bottom of the West. Granted, other injuries that happen too, but you're in the bottom of the West. You don't know when he's coming back. So, Willie Green may be gone because of all this. It's really hard to say, man, what's going to be like for Zion.
Mm-hmm. You got to figure it out, man, at this point. I mean, I think we talked about it before the last time he was out, or him being very heavy. It was like, well, do you move on from this guy? So what do they do? I mean, not only, and I don't think it's just him. I think it plays a part, in the organization as well. I mean, look at it. CJ McCollum's hurt and DeJounte Murray.
Mm-hmm.
And Herb Jones. This team they're not a team that has those huge expectations of winning. So does he have to go to that Lakers type team, Knicks type team? Think about all the stuff he's doing right now. Imagine if he was doing that in Boston. You know what I mean? So it
is on his ass.
Yeah. So even take it. I'll take it to as far as going to the Spurs. Go to the Spurs and act like that. So again, I think when you have the partnership of the organization and the player, this is what we see. The off the field, off the court stuff, the tattoo stuff, being her all the time. The young lady who he's still talking to, but now she has probably haven't been on any type of social media probably, but now we still see video of her being on the court side. So
and Parcel give her money too.
Giving her, yeah. So obviously he has to be saying something to her.
That was the damn thing. Out of all that, he was giving her money. Just like,
yeah, it has to be
$100,000. Like, Damn.
Yeah. So, and I like I said, I think him being young, and we've seen it with multiple players in different sports. Young, they get all this money, and they're just out there living their best life or whatever. But at some point, we want to see results on the court or on the field, on the track or whatever. So for me, I think at some point he possibly needs to be moved at some point if he want to live up to his own expectation of being a successful and a Hall of Fame basketball player.
I mean, we'll see with Zion what's going to happen with him, man. I was just like, I know we had to touch on this because it's like, and I said it. I think I said this years ago. We do this show, and some of y'all are new to this. I said this: if the Zion Williamson experiment fails in New Orleans, and I know the league's talking about like doing expansion and stuff like that. One way you can get a backdoor away in to Las Vegas is move the Pelicans to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
If the Zion thing doesn't work there, Brandon Ingram might not be there any longer because he fired his agency as well. Just move the team to Las Vegas. And you got a team stationed there. Reset there. New Orleans, not saying they need NBA basketball, but they're not hurting without it. Because they got so many other things going on, especially, the Saints. Baton Rouge is like an hour away and all that type of stuff. So, they ain't really hurting for, pro basketball.
Right.
But, like I said, if the experiment fails down there, the league should just pack up shop and, move the team to Vegas. And then, add your Seattle team back into the fold. So you still got to add another city. So Seattle's in the fold. You move the Pelicans to Las Vegas. You got to add somewhere in the East. So if I had to add somewhere in the East, maybe Pittsburgh, maybe Nashville, to kind of pick up that void, left from the Pelicans in the Southeast like that. Yeah, that's about the two cities I would look at right there. So, D-Lock, we're going to take our last break. Coming back, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to talk about the Palace and the Mouse 20 years. What we think about it. What was our first initial thoughts when it happened? How do we look back years later? And, between fans and the players. And has things really changed, for the better things? So we'll touch on that, touch on some college scores, and then we'll get out of here. But this is Fast Break Live for iSports Radio, your direct follow in sports, and we'll be back.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back into the fold of things. We do want to touch on a couple of things here. D-Locke, about 20 years ago, there was a thing called, officially got dubbed Mouse at the Palace. Now, for some of y'all younger folks that listen to the show, it was the big old fisticuffs, if you want to put it, between the Pacers and the Detroit Pistons. And we're around the same age, D-Locke. And finish up the banner there. And we're around the same age and stuff like that, that we kind of knew where we were watching it. I was living in Nebraska at the time, and I remember watching it, man. It's like, you had that Detroit team of head coach Larry Brown and those guys, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, all those type of guys. On the other side of things, you had Rick Carlisle with Jermaine O'Neal, Ron Artest, known at the time, Reggie Miller, who wasn't playing that game, Steven Jackson, Fred Jones. I feel like I missed somebody there from that Indiana squad. Jamal Tinsley, thank you. Yeah,
Jamal Tinsley, yeah.
Those dudes from the Indiana side of things, Austin Crozier, those dudes. D-Locke, I'll let you go first.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you when that night happened? And what were your thoughts, going live at your age at that time? And what do you think about like 20 years later? As things kind of change? Because we see the interactions between fan and athlete on a different level.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on everything? And have things really changed that much after that?
So it was November 19th, 2004. I was at my mom's house. And I believe around that time, that's when you had I was in school, but you had that whole week off of school, for Thanksgiving. So the game was probably, I think the game probably started around like 8, probably around like 8:30, maybe 7, something like that, 7:30, something like that. And I remember watching it, just the game being a blowout. Right? I think that year, remember we used to hear about Ron Artest throughout the whole year, where I knew the kind of guy he was, the kind of player he was. So, and I remember watching the foul, and it was a tough foul. Now I probably could have been like, damn, like that was, that was kind of tough, knowing it's a blowout too. So seeing it, I didn't think that something was going to happen. I just thought it was just a hard foul, whatever. But then I seen the Ben Wallace push Ron Artest, but we knowing who Ron Artest was at the time. So I never forget. I thought it was the funniest thing of all time, man. I literally remember seeing Ron Artest walk away and sit on the sideline with his feet up, like had his hand above his head, and he was just sitting there. I'm like, this dude is boiling right now. You can tell because of who he is and how he plays. That happened. He's boiling right now. So they stopped the game. They players are kind of scuffling a little bit, and I would never forget. Out of nowhere, you see this cup of ice or this cup come flying out of nowhere, and he lost it. Then, now crazy enough, the person that he attacked wasn't even didn't even know what was going on. Clearly, to me, as a person watching over time, I'm like, damn, this got to be the wrong person because this person not even paying attention. It was the person right next to him that was kind of looking all over the place. Looked like he had something to do with it. Then he looked at Ron Artest after he jumped on the guy. And actually, I think he was the one that jumped on Ron Artest back after that, and it kind of went crazy from then. I know one of the biggest things that I thought was kind of crazy also was seeing Jermaine O'Neal slide in and punch the guy.
Oh yes.
On the court. I just thought that was just insane to see it. I think another one was when I seen Ron Artest stop and look at a fan, and then just hit him, just boom, just clocked him. So I just thought that was kind of crazy. I'm like, I cannot believe this is really happening. Now nowadays, I think this is a totally different NBA. I think since then you don't really see this much. For one, physicality on the court, so you don't see this much. It's still a physical game, but just not as physical as it was then. So for me, I think the game has definitely changed. But that night, man, I remember watching it, and it kind of made me realize that this is reality. This is not just obviously it's just a basketball game, but man, you got people that. You look at games, you don't think nobody's going to go on the field or the court. You don't even think that's going to happen. You think the court is going to be clean. It's not going to nobody's going to jump on the field. Anytime that happens, the camera will literally move away from whoever jumps onto the field. I think the same thing happened in the Super Bowl. The Bucks played the Chiefs. The guy actually ran onto the field. When he ran over, the camera just moved somewhere else. So you don't really think that'll happen, especially watching it from home. But when I seen that, man, and Rick Carlisle was a coach there for the Pacers at the time. When I seen it, I just thought that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. That was the young Steven Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Going in the stands. Jermaine O'Neal, back when he had his braids, the young Jermaine O'Neal. So I understood, the results of them getting suspended. But I remember that as a kid, wow, this is really, professionals doing this, and now you got it all got fans on the court, which you never see fans on a basketball court. That's something you never see. So that's how I know it was kind of crazy. But I think they have a documentary onto it too, which I think I watched. Now double watch it again just to get their jog the memory a little bit, but. Yeah, man, that was one of the most shocking things that I've seen in sports, in any sporting event. To see that, and everybody that was involved, it was kind of crazy.
I mean, for me, we had just gotten, we just moved to Nebraska earlier that summer, so. We would get, I would say self-settling and stuff like that. But I remember, watching the game and stuff like that. And some of y'all don't know that Pacers team was probably should be in contention for an NBA title. Old man Reggie Miller, got young superstar forward and Jermaine O'Neal down low. Ron Artest on the wing, Steven Jackson, Fred Jones, Jamal Tisdale, I already later outlined those guys. But you know, you still have the Pistons in their core and stuff like that with Tayshaun Prince, Rip Hamilton, Phillips, Wallace, and those guys. But I remember watching it, man. It's like you hear some of the stories that came out years later, and you hear the stories about like Ron Chaz trying to get his lick back on Ben Wallace for the playoff series a year ago, or whatever. And sometimes you kind of wonder, like, why are you waiting so late in the game to get your lick back when the game's out of hand?
Yeah.
Why not like sending matches early in the game and stuff like that in this game? I don't say high stakes, it was early in the season, but kind of set the tone for the rest of the year, which you could probably see in the playoffs. But, you know, he saw the foul. Ben Wallace just like pushed the crap out of Ron. And I think, you know, with Ron, you know, at that time, I think he already been talked to by the league about his issues. So he went, like you say, he sat on the bench and stuff like that, chilling.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you know, you see the cup, and then boom, he pops up like a lion to a damn Giselle, and just attacked that white dude, looking like deer in the headlights, and
confused,
whooped him down. And then next thing you know, you got Steven Jackson. He up in the stands, just clocking people. Fred Jones trying to go up there and trying to help his guys out. He getting beat down by some other dude. I don't know if you've seen that part or not, but Fred Jones, he was getting just knocked upside the head by some big old dude out in the stands. And then, you know, when they got the guys out from the stands, you had those two fat dudes who were Piston fans come onto the court trying to start something. I think a lot of guys, as stated over the years, they better thank God that Jermaine O'Neal slipped on the court when he threw that punch. Because if that was like clean, I'm not saying those guys would have died, but
it'd have been worse.
It would not have been pretty. And I just remember that. It's just like, man, you never seen nothing like you alluded to. You never saw something like that. All the years watching NBA basketball, stuff like that. I mean, you seen fights and stuff throughout the 90s and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't nothing new. Hell, you go back to the 80s, you watch old highlights of that stuff. You see fights happen, stuff like that. You know, you see like, you know, Moses Malone, Charles Barkley, you know, hemming up Larry Bird and punching him out. You know, Jordan going against the Detroit Bad Boys and all that stuff. You know, Celtics, Lakers, all that type of stuff. But you never see me ran the court and stuff like that. But seeing this, and then, you know, you watch the reaction from ESPN, you know, Al Saunders, you know, he was being mad and stuff like that. Steve, you know, at that time, Stephen A. Smith coming fresh into the national scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, him there. You know, I forgot who else is there on that studio set. But those two guys kind of stick out to me. I think Wilbon was there. And, you know, they're talking about, you know, Al Saunders never, you know, sounded like the way he does. What happened about that incident and stuff like that. So, you know, you remember it. And then I remember, like, I had basketball practice the next day. And we were talking about during practice. And you know, at a point, the coach had told us to, you know, hey, cut it. Hey, quit talking about it or make y'all run. And, you know, you know, okay. We got to put a kibosh on that. But, yeah, that's what everybody wants to talk about. Like, we never saw anything like that. And this is before YouTube. That we go back and watch stuff like this on a daily or X or Twitter, we gonna call it.
Yeah.
I mean, the internet was there and stuff like that. But to kind of watch on replays and stuff like that, you know, you know, you had to stay up late all night watching ESPN to kind of get the highlights and stuff like that. So to me, 20 years later, looking back now, you see fans kind of talking more crazy to the players more than ever did before. I'm not saying it didn't happen before, but you see
They're
like
bolder. They're bolder. Yeah.
You see the interaction more. You see some folks baiting these athletes, like a Michael Rappaport, be baiting like a KD and whoever he's mad at because they ain't shake his hand, whatever. You see that stuff happening, and you got more access to these guys because he's all these guys on social media and stuff like that. But we saw the interaction with KD and the two drunk fools in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
The big lady with the beard and stuff like that. Brad. A few years ago, Bradley Beal, when he was in the Wizards, dude called him a scrub or whatever, and Bradley Beal had to look at him and stuff like that. I remember. I don't know if you remember a guy named John Amici.
Mm.
I think he played for the Orlando Magic for a little bit. Big man, didn't score a lot.
Rebounder.
I remember he was on Levitar not too years ago, and he talked about interaction with fans and stuff like that, saying like, this dude called me a sorry scrum and stuff like that. And he's thinking in his mind like, wait a minute, I'm in the NBA.
Yeah.
You over here watching me.
Yeah.
And I think that 20 years later, I don't think no fans gonna jump on the court, but we kind of see the interactions kind of go I don't say crazy, but like it's kind of a lot of people going out of pocket in a sense. Like the two fans up in Indianapolis when LeBron, had him throwing one out.
Yeah, I remember
saying
that.
when he said to them, and them, when they walking out, just kind of like, not giving a care in the world. So yeah, no fans gonna run the court, nothing like that. But I think it's not a lot of check and balances like they should be. Like the players gotta be on their best behavior. We got these professional athletes got these code of conduct and all that stuff. But sometimes with the fans, I felt like, some of y'all got chill for the most part.
Yeah, definitely with that. I mean, let the athletes be the athletes, the entertainers.
Yeah. I agree with that. Like I hope we won't see nothing like that again. Granted, me and you both love college football, and we see these fans rush the field and stuff like that. One instance comes to mind, like Alabama when Tennessee beat Alabama the first time in like 17 years. You had Jermaine Burton kind of pushing a girl when they rushed the field. Stuff like that. Not on the call for, but things like that we gotta be aware of. So back to the Palace though. It was a wild night. Like I said, at that age, you had to stay up to ESPN to kind of watch the whole thing. Like, and watch ESPN news. They were just playing on loop.
Yeah.
And some of y'all don't know about ESPN news. I mean, it's like just straight ESPN highlights, news, and stuff like that. And it's just playing that on a loop.
Over and over and over.
So it sucks for the Pacers because like I said, they were a championship team at that point, and it just kind of killed them. The Pistons, they stay fine. I mean, Ben Wallace got suspended, but I mean they still tried and true. for the most part. But for the Pacers, it kind of killed that whole team, man.
Yeah.
Ron Artest got suspended for the rest of the year. Steven Jackson, 30-plus games. Jermaine O'Neal missing games. So it's just kind of killed that team's chances. And it's kind of like one of those what ifs, man. Like
30 for 30s.
30 for 30s. Like if that didn't happen, what would the Indiana Pacers be like? Would they even win the championship? You know? I'm not saying they would, but would they? So that's my thoughts on that. I know where I was at, and I remember us as basketball players being threatened to run, being threatened to get run if we stop talking about it. So I'll let you have the last word.
I mean, I like I said, I remember exactly where I was too, and at the time I just like, damn, I can't believe this is happening. I was 14, and I'm like, oh damn, they going, obviously being in high school, you know how high school is, them little fights, just and everybody run over there, whatever. So when I seen it as on this court, I'm like, yo, they really throwing down live, and they never cut it either. They had the whole thing live the whole time. So that was a brutal ending, for the Pacers, big time.
Yeah, brutal for that team, and you got to think about it like that. You talking about the time that the Eastern Conference was kind of weak, and you had all the power out in the West: the Spurs, Lakers, Kings, Mavericks. Granted, you had like a young Melo out in Denver. The Sonics are still kind of mid. Blazers there. The Rockets. So the West was tough. Garnett with the Timberwolves. So you're talking about like a strong Western Conference there. At that time in the East, the Pistons, Pacers. They were kind of like the only like top of their tier teams. Celtics were okay, at that point, but the Nets, you had them as well. But the Pacers never really recovered after that for a very long time until they let in guys like Danny Granger, Paul George, and got that reset there. But after a while, Jermaine O'Neal got hurt. He was never the same. Artest, after a while, got traded to the Kings, I believe. Reggie Miller retired. So, and Steven Jackson got traded to the Spurs, I believe. So, that dismantling that team just put everything in smoke.
Yeah, definitely did.
Real quick, D-Lock, before we get out here, I want to go with some college scores real quick. Big one today out in L.A. The UCLA women beat South Carolina 77-62, ending the South Carolina winning streak of 43 games. So big shout out to the Lady Bruins winning that game against the Gamecocks and put them in good time betting favorites to win the women's championship. Lauren Betts, 11 points, 14 rebounds for her. 13 points for Arnesolo. Excuse me if I pronounce that wrong. 15 points off the bench for London Jones. So big day for the UCLA Bruins there on that front. And it gives them confidence if they beat them again in the NCAA tournament. They could, they beat them. They could beat them again in a neutral site. But I think big thing for them, they won the rebounding battle there. And I think that was key, for them winning that matchup there tonight. Also taking the women's side of things, I would say be Drake 80-78. Indiana gets a big win on in the Battlelands against Baylor 73-65. Ohio State beats down Bowling Green 96-53. Louisville wins against South Florida 64-60. And then going back to Saturday's action, another big time matchup that happened. Notre Dame beat USC out in LA 74-61. For the Fighting Irish side of things, 24 points for Hidalgo, 20 points for Miles. On the USC side of things, Miss Juju Watkins, 24 points for her, 0 for 5 for 3-point land. And as a whole team, as a whole, they shot 1 for 13 D-Locke for 3-point land. That's 7% from 3. Now I know the ladies don't shoot much outside, in the college game, but if you can't at least get 30%,
Oh yeah, that's bad. Yeah, 7%.
That's bad right there. I mean, that's very bad on that front. So that's been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us here tonight. Before we get out of here, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, however you spend it. Some folks celebrate early, some folks celebrate on the day of or day after.
Mm-hmm.
So celebrate how you do, and have a very safe and blessed Thanksgiving. If you're traveling, please be safe, be weather aware, all that good stuff on that front of things. D-Locke, before we get out of here, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813 on Twitter/X. I definitely will be talking more about my Orlando Magic because Franz Wagner is playing on that at an all-star level. Let them know they can find you on the show's page.
You can find the show's page at Twitter/X at Fastbreak IESR. That's Fastbreak IESR. Do follow iSportsRadio.com for all your latest shows, news, and feeds. As you see the scroller right there. We're on TikTok, YouTube, X, Facebook. I don't know if we're going to be on Blue Sky yet, but hopefully we might be on there because that's where everybody's kind of moving towards to. Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. All those right there, you see right there. Do give us a follow on those platforms there. I do have another. Do follow me on Twitter/X at Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. I do never show stock of the Crooks process. Do follow me on there on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Do see the CT logo there and give me a follow on there as well. But till next week, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk more basketball. See who rises in the cream of the crop in college basketball. We'll dive into that a little bit more. The next show behind us is going to be one Corey Pujols, which I think he's already live now. We're going to pass off the mic to him. Subscribe to iSports Radio on YouTube and tune in. But tune in, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to y'all next week. We're out.